Hello, this is Sami Tan of G2G8 and welcome to our video as we discuss the first essential to fighting infection. As a short review of our last video, we discussed that there are 8 essentials for our health that we cannot compromise. And we discussed that if we adopt 4 to 6 complementary healthy habits at the same time, we're able to increase our chances of fighting infection by 100%. The first essential is going to blow you away. It is so obvious and prevalent that we can't see it. This is sunshine. For many years, we know that sunshine helps our body produce vitamin D. And we know that it helps strengthen our bones by recycling calcium from our kidneys and preventing it from being excreted in our urine. But unknown to most people, vitamin D is not a vitamin. It is a hormone that is involved in every single cell reaction in our body, as every cell in our body has vitamin D receptor. Vitamin D exists in 3 forms in our body. It is formed under our skin as cholesterol reacts with the sun's UVB rays and form cholecalciferol. The cholecalciferol is turned into 25-OHD3 by our liver, and this is the most prevalent form in our body. This is also the one measured when you take a vitamin D test. A fraction of this 25-OHD3 is transformed into 125-OH2D3 by our kidneys. And this is the guided missile form of vitamin D, our body's smart bomb. Now, what is the function of vitamin D in our body? What does it do? Hold on to your seatbelt and be prepared to be blown away. 1. Vitamin D regulates more than 200 genes in our body. It is estimated that it is involved in 10% of our gene activity, from cell proliferation, differentiation to apoptosis. 2. It is an immunomodulator that downregulates inflammatory cytokines and upregulates anti-inflammatory cytokines in our lungs. This cytokines is the cause of ARDS, or acute respiratory distress syndrome, why people are put into respirator and needs emergency treatment in ICU every year. 3. It prevents the activation of peripheral autoimmune T cells, which is the cause of autoimmune diseases like lupus or multiple sclerosis. 4. It is an antimicrobial that can kill tuberculosis bacterium by activating catalycidin. The catalycidin activates LL37 peptides that kills the tuberculosis germs. It is expressed in our respiratory epithelial cells. 5. It has antiviral activity as the antimicrobial peptide, which can be expressed in our upper and lower respiratory epithelial cells, can inhibit these viruses. One study has shown that vitamin D can prevent coronaviruses from attaching to our cell walls. When I open up PubMed and type in vitamin D, I can see more than 3,800 published studies on vitamin D alone. Not all of the studies are positive towards vitamin D, but let me pull up some of this meta-study which pertains to respiratory infection. When we say meta-study, we mean that these are compilation of studies, as I don't want to read individual studies, but want to see if there are groups of studies in a particular subject and see how they are trending. One study on vitamin D and respiratory health, published by D.A. Hughes and R. Norton, says that vitamin D appears capable of inhibiting pulmonary inflammatory responses while enhancing innate defense mechanism against respiratory pathogens. Vitamin D and respiratory tract infection, a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials by Peter Bergman and company. Their interpretation is this: results indicate that vitamin D has a protective effect against a respiratory tract infection, and dosing daily seems most effective. Vitamin D promotes pneumococcal killing and modulates inflammatory responses in primary human neutrophils by Karthik and company. Results: vitamin D enhances neutrophil killing of S. pneumoniae by upregulating neutrophil defensins, downregulates inflammatory cytokines, and dampens apoptosis by upregulating IL-4. In conclusion, our results suggest that vitamin D can limit excessive inflammation while boosting the anti-pneumococcal activity of neutrophils, making vitamin D a promising candidate for treatment of pneumococcal infection alongside antibiotic. So vitamin D indirectly kills pneumonia germs. The association between vitamin D deficiency and community-acquired pneumonia, a meta-analysis by Yongfang Xiao and company. Their conclusion is the evidence presented here indicated an association between vitamin D deficiency and an increased risk of community-acquired pneumonia, as person with lesser than 20 nanogram per ml of vitamin D is under increased risk of community-acquired pneumonia. Another study says vitamin D deficiency is a risk factor for infection, sepsis, and mortality in the critically ill. Systematic review and meta-analysis by Kim Dehan and company. Results: levels of 25-OHD less than 50 nanomole per liter were associated with increased rates of infection. Their conclusion is this meta-analysis suggests that vitamin D deficiency increases susceptibility for severe infection and mortality of the critically ill. Mortality means death. Another study, significant association between vitamin D deficiency and sepsis. A systematic review and meta-analysis by Sikarin Upala and company. Their conclusion is vitamin D deficiency were associated with an increased susceptibility of sepsis, meaning if you lack vitamin D, you might die prematurely. Another study, vitamin D supplementation and antibiotic consumption results from a prospective observational study at an immune deficiency unit in Sweden by Anna-Karin Norlin and company. The results shows that vitamin D supplementation results in significant reduced antibiotic consumption from 20 to 15 days per patient. The number of antibiotic-free patients increased by 52 to 81 after vitamin D3 supplementation. The number of antibiotic prescription decreased significantly, a finding that mainly was attributed to the reduction of respiratory tract antibiotics. Conclusion: vitamin D3 supplementation of 1,600 IE per day is safe to use in immunodeficient patients with 25-OHD level less than 75 nanomole per liter, and significantly reduce the antibiotic consumption in patients without immunoglobulin substitution. Now, making sense of what we just read. To make it into plain and simple language, there is enough study to say that while vitamin D does not prevent infection, as infections are prevented by observing good hygiene and quarantine, 1. It will upregulate your immune system to deal with the infection. It has been shown to kill tuberculosis and pneumococcal germs as well as having antiviral activity. 2. It will downregulate inflammatory responses to prevent us from getting acute respiratory distress syndrome. ARDS is what caused you to be in a respirator and be admitted in ICU. 3. It will prevent you from dying prematurely from sepsis, that is the result of cytokine tsunami. 4. It will shorten your sickness time and save you a lot of money on medication. I found another interesting study in PubMed. This one says impact of vitamin D supplementation on influenza vaccine response and immune function in deficient elderly persons. A randomized placebo-controlled trial, and their conclusion says vitamin D supplementation promotes higher TGF-beta plasma level response to influenza vaccination without improving antibody production. This supplementation seems to direct the lymphocyte polarization toward a tolerogenic immune response. What it means is that even if there was a vaccine for the infection, having a low vitamin D will cause your immune system to overreact and might reject the vaccine given. Ample amount of vitamin D in your body will downregulate the immune response, allowing your body to accept the vaccine. So by this time, you might be itching to go out and purchase your vitamin D. But what level is enough? And how much should you take to be enough? Here is another study from PubMed, Vitamin D in Acute Stress and Critical Illness by Sadek Kuraisi and company. In this study, they were able to show certain levels of vitamin D. When it comes to respiratory infection, less than 10 nanogram per ml of 25-OHD level were associated with increased risk of URI or upper respiratory infection. Greater than 38 nanogram per ml were associated with a reduction of risk of viral upper respiratory infection. Less than 16 nanogram per ml were associated with increased risk of missed workdays from upper respiratory infection. When it comes to critical illness, less than 12 nanogram per ml is associated with increased risk of 30-day mortality. Less than 15 nanogram per ml were associated with increased risk of in-hospital 30-day, 90-day, and 1-year mortality. Less than 26 nanogram per ml were associated with longer ICU, increased ICU-related costs, and higher ICU-related mortality. Greater than 20 nanogram per ml were associated with reduction of risk of short-term mortality. 30 to 35 nanogram per ml appear to be necessary for vitamin D to optimize its cathelicidin effect and therefore maximizes its potential anti-infective benefits during acute illnesses. With the figures presented, what level do you think we should aim for? Yes, you are right, greater than 38 nanogram per ml, or nothing less than 38 nanogram per ml. Now, next we need to interpret what is nanogram per ml and how to convert it to IU, which is the common measurement we use for vitamin D supplements. 1000 nanogram equals 1 microgram. So 38 nanogram per ml is 0.038 microgram per ml. A human being normally has between 4,500 ml to 5,700 ml of blood. If we round it off to 5,000 as our reference, our body should have 0.038 by 5,000 equals 190 microgram. 190 microgram of vitamin D. Every 100 IU equals 2.5 microgram of vitamin D. So 190 divided by 2.5 times 100 is equal to 7,600 IU of vitamin D circulating in our blood at any moment in time, or between 6,800 IU to 8,600 IU a day. How much do you need to take each day? Our problem lies in the fact that there is no study to show how much IU of vitamin D our body uses up every day and how much of it will use up during infection. What we know is that the USRDV recommends 600 IU per day. Most people take from 400 IU to 2000 IU daily, and this is very safe. Some doctors are recommending between 5,000 IU to 10,000 IU every day, and part of the reason is that we have to account for the absorption of the vitamin D into our body. And it's not 100% as it will depend on whether you're using powder or liquid or whether you are intaking enough fat in your diet to absorb the vitamin D. There are some doctors that recommend megadosing, especially at the onset of symptom. They would recommend as much as 150,000 IU per day for 3 days to give your body what it needs to fight off the infection. Now, how much can your body take before you overdose on vitamin D? 1. You can safely increase to 100 nanogram per ml or 20,000 IU with no issue to your health. Mayo Clinic has a threshold of 600,000 IU, although they are dealing mostly with cancer patients. I would personally recommend that you try to attain 60 nanogram per ml or 12,000 IU. It is because we don't want to target the lowest, and it's like aiming just to pass, and you might fall short. Also because 16 nanogram per ml in some studies show the regression of cancer cells at that level. The best way to determine the right blood level is to take a blood test. You can supplement for 2 months on a daily dose and then take another blood test after 2 months. Why 2 months? Because it takes that long for vitamin D to reach its peak. 1 month testing will just give you an inaccurate result. If you already have symptoms of infection, you might want to consider megadosing. My personal experience in overdosing is when I took 50,000 IU every day for 3 weeks before I felt like vomiting. This is a sign of overdosing. So technically, I took about 1 million IU before I felt any symptom. But I don't recommend you try this unless you have a way of monitoring. One thing is for sure, you won't drop dead when you overdose on vitamin D. You can get vitamin D from your diet. They are mostly found in fatty fishes like mackerel, salmon, cod, flounder, etc. You can get it also in canned tuna, in egg yolk, beef liver, cod liver oil, fortified milk cereal, and orange juice. And of course, supplementation. The most pleasant way to get vitamin D is by sunbathing. The best time to catch healthy UVB rays is between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Yes, contrary to what many people are saying, early morning sun is not the best sun. And it is not too much sun that causes skin cancer. It's the lack of sunlight and deficiency in vitamin D that cause not only skin cancer but many cancers as well. Just a note, as you grow older, your skin will be less able to convert sunlight to vitamin D. So elderly people may need supplementation. How long do I stay in the sun? Well, it depends. First, on what you got on. If you can get 50% of your skin exposed to the sun every day, you may not need to supplement a vitamin D, especially if you are young. And it depends on the color of your skin. As the darker you are, the longer you need to stay in the sun to get your daily requirements. You can check out this website, which I find very helpful in computing how much vitamin D and sunlight I needed. Finally, remember not to use sunblock. Our first essential, sunshine is free, totally free. Our land is blessed with sunshine all year round, so take advantage of this. Sunshine has other surprising benefits. These are it lowers blood pressure, improves bone health, improves brain function, eases depression, improves sleep quality, lessens Alzheimer's symptoms, heals skin problems like psoriasis, it boosts growth in children, enhances our immune system, and reduces risk of certain cancer like non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and lowers the mortality rate of cancer sufferers. I hope you enjoy our first essential offering. Like we said before, this is just one of the healthy habits that we can do, but we need to apply 3 to 5 more to increase our chances of fighting infection by 100%. So stay tuned for our next video, which will be on nutrition. Have a good to great day.